This is Biblical DNA. Today's video, the Y-DNA phylogeny of the Cohanim.
What is the significance of the Y-DNA of the Cohanim? The Cohanim are the hereditary priestly caste of the eponymous ancestor Aaron in Judaism and Samaritanism. Priestly status is passed strictly through the paternal line. Y-DNA allows tracing of male lineages across millennia. Genetic studies test whether Cohanim share common paternal ancestry. Cohen model haplotype, identified in 1997 using YSTR markers, originally identified by 6 STR markers, later expanded. Overrepresented among Cohanim, but not exclusive to them, serves as an early genetic signature of priestly descent. Samaritan Cohanim. The Samaritan Cohen family claims descent from the tribe of Levi and Aaron via Itamar, Aaron's younger son Eleazar. Their high priests are Cohanim and maintaining ancient priestly traditions. Genetic affinity. Studies Offner et al. 2013 showed strong genetic links between Samaritan and Jewish Cohanim. Key findings: YSTR DYS 391 usually carries 10 repeats, but their specific repeats is 11. Descent from Itamar Beak Aaron EV22 with the SNP of E-FT161981 in family tree DNA. Highlights: the complex history of priestly lineages, with Samaritans preserving an ancient Samaritan Cohanim branch, challenges the single founder model, showing multiple Aaronide descendants. Hierarchical clustering of Y-DNA branches with haplogroup context. Methodology: hierarchical clustering, UPGMA, unweighted pair group method with arithmetic mean divided by average linkage, applied to user-defined Y-DNA distance matrices. Clustering groups of samples by relative genetic similarity, not direct ancestry. Haplogroup assignments EJR are added as external phylogenetic context based on established Y chromosome trees. Complementary methods used in the literature. PCA to visualize haplotype structure. Median joining networks to explore STR variation within haplogroups. PCA of 37 marker STR panels commonly separates E1B1B, J1, J2A, and J2B on clusters. Also, you have the R that I forgot to put there. Key observations: Cohanim samples show local clustering around CMH, associated haplotypes consistent with partial shared paternal ancestry. Multiple subclades within E1B1B, J1, J2 indicate several priestly lineages rather than a single founder. Distinct haplogroups E and R cluster separately and connect only at deep ancestral node CT/CF, consistent with known Y-DNA phylogeny. Apparent similarity between Cohanim and some known or non-Cohanim groups, e.g. Limba, reflects convergent STR patterns, not recent shared descent. Limitations in interpretation: hierarchical clustering is descriptive, not a true phylogenetic reconstruction. Low resolution STR panels, e.g. 6 markers, inflate similarity and obscure structure. Higher resolution data greater than equal to 37 STRs or SNP-based trees reveal polyphyletic origins. Alright, this is a hierarchical clustering of Y-DNA branches with haplogroup context, UPGMA, over average linkage. I coded this in Google Colab. This is basically what I got to separate the haplogroups that was found in the research, including the Samaritan Cohanim branch that I added in there, because I felt like it was very important that they were added in there, since they're considered to be living ancient DNA, because they are a genetic continuity of their Bronze Age ancestors that lived in the Levant 3,600 years ago. So you can get a full picture of what the separations of the haplogroups would look like. Alright, this is the Y-DNA backbone for E1B1B, J, and R, where E1B1B splits, E diverges at DE upstream of haplogroup F. This places E on a separate branch from J, I, and R. E1B1B reflects a deep North African Levantine paternal lineage, where J splits at IJ downstream of F. J is more closely related to I than to E or R. J1 J58 is a dominant lineage among the Cohanim, where R splits downstream of K2B, P, P-M45. R is part of the F, K macro lineage, not related to E at D, E. R1b represents a later Eurasian expansion, far removed from J and E. Those two were already in the Levant, so R1b came later on towards the Middle East. Y, E, J, and R should not cluster tightly. E, J, and R only converge at deep ancestral nodes, CT to CF. Any apparent clustering in STR-based analyses reflects convergent mutation patterns, not recent shared ancestry. Hierarchical clustering shows relative similarity, not phylogenetic descent. Key findings and dating: shared ancestry. Cohanim exhibit higher frequencies of the Cohen model haplotype than non-Cohen Jews, supporting partial shared paternal ancestry. However, CMH is neither universal nor exclusive. Approximately 45 to 56% of Cohanim show a full 66 CMH match. Approximately 5% of non-Cohanim Jews also carry the CMH. These results indicate statistical enrichment, not definitive priestly descent. Skoricki et al., 1997. Thomas et al., 1998. Dating estimates. Early STR-based estimates, 1998. Coalescence time, 3,000 years before present. 95% confidence interval, 2,000 to 4,000 years, broadly consistent with the traditional Aaronide time frame. Thomas et al., 1998. Later analyses using expanded datasets, 2009. JP58 lineage estimated at 3,190 years. Confidence interval 2,300 to 4,090 years. And I'm going to show on Globe Tracker if that's still consistent. Internal branching suggests some Cohanim subclades diverged as recently as 1,075 years ago. Hammer et al., 2009. Revised interpretations, 2013. Evidence for multiple paternal lineages, with some priestly branches emerging within the last 1,500 years. Offner et al., 2013. Overall context, Y chromosome lineages associated with Cohanim trace back to the Near East 6,000 plus years ago. Specific Cohanim lineages represent later expansions within this broader ancestral background. Multiple lineages, comprehensive surveys identify at least 21 distinct Y-DNA haplogroups among Cohanim. These findings refute a single biblical founder model. Instead, they support multiple Near Eastern paternal lineages incorporated into the priesthood over time. Hammer et al., 2009. Okay, so this is the most recent common ancestor estimates for Cohen branches. These were the branches that were used in the study, along with the Samaritan Cohanim family that I will show using family tree DNA, the discovery, the globe tracker. These are the results I got from coding this on Google Colab. Association and criticisms, religious and cultural implications. Early studies excited religious communities, seen as evidence for biblical veracity. However, findings show multiple ancestries, challenging the single founder narrative used in genealogy, family tree DNA projects, and to trace Jewish diaspora origins. Scientific implications highlights gene flow in the Middle East. CMH is not exclusive to the Jews. Supports the Near Eastern origin of Jewish lineages, but refutes direct biblical descent. Implications for population genetics, Y-DNA traces, migration, and admixture. Criticisms and limitations. CMH found in non-Jews, e.g. Arabs, Limba, leading to false positives. Low resolution masks diversity. Higher markers reveal polyphyletic. Mutation rates debated. Dating varies, e.g. 1,075 versus 3,190 years. Historical critical scholars note that the priesthood's origins are complex, not solely Aaronide. Critics, e.g. Zorzman Diskin, argues that the evidence is overstated for Jewish descent. Cohanim populations comparison. Ashkenazi Cohanim, predominantly J1, 52% J-P58, with 88% overall J. Higher CMH matches, 45 to 56%, originating from Central Eastern Europe with genetic ties to the Middle East or Near East. Sephardic Cohanim, 75% J-P58, 76% J overall, similar to Ashkenazi, but with a slightly higher J1 frequency, reflecting Iberian origins before expulsion. Oriental Cohanim, less studied, but show higher diversity, e.g. more J2, E3B, from near Middle Eastern communities. General trends, all Cohanim groups show elevated J haplogroups compared to non-Cohanim Jews, 37% J. Non-Cohanim have more R1A, Q, etc. Implications suggest shared Near Eastern ancestry but local admixture. Sephardic may retain more ancient signatures due to less European admixture. Conclusion: Y-DNA Cohanim research reveals a shared genetic signature, CMH and J-P58 haplogroup among Jewish priests with origins in the Near East dating around 3,000 to 6,000 years ago. However, multiple lineages and non-exclusive haplotypes indicate a more complex history rather than a single biblical founder. We saw that with the J2A, J2B, under multiple E1B1B, and the R1B Cohen families. Future directions: higher resolution sequencing, whole Y chromosome SNP testing in larger samples could refine trees and dating. Also to include populations such as the Limba that have the claims with the JP58. Those samples that were tested back in, when it was, 2000s, early 2000s or so, and retested in the early 2010s, 2013 I think it was, those should be retested using higher resolution to see if there's actually a more recent relationship when it comes to the Y DNA. Like, when exactly did they split off from each other? Integration with mtDNA and autosomal data for fuller ancestry. Sources based on key studies: Skoricki, 1997, Thomas, 1998, Hammer, 2009, and Lipson, 2025. The Lipson is still peer reviewed, so when it gets published, I will go over it full in detail, but that's then. And I also reviewed Astur 2012 and used Wikipedia for the Samaritan breakdown. Research continues to evolve with new genetic tools.
All right. So these are the branches that was used for the Cohanim. This is the paper right here, revisiting the lineages of the Cohanim using data from next generation sequencing. All right. So going down all the way here, seeing the different ones that they use, right? I did the favor of bringing the globe tracker from Family Tree DNA Discovery up for each one that was used. If you go scroll down all the way to the paper, you'll see the other branches that was used. I can also bring up the material, supplementary material that was used for this research. It's significant because it just shows you all the branches that used, all the Y chromosomes from the different families and different lineages, different ethnicities that carry the surname Cohen, right? And the different Y DNA haplogroups that's found amongst Cohening. So, all right. So let's go ahead and start with CB-01. We have J-FT246135 and J-Z18271. All right, let's get into it. So go ahead and let this play out. See if I can speed this up. There we go. So now we get into the late Bronze Age, going into the Iron Age. That's Israelite right there. Israelite kingdom around the second Iron Age, or Iron Age 1, Iron Age 2. And it's showing that it has this mutation right here, this SNP, this down subclade of J-P58. This one right here was found in Syria, or it's mutated around 700 BCE in Syria. And show where it's spreading out to. All right, go to the next one. Do the same thing, 2-speed. Let's get it in. So we got into the late Bronze Age. Go ahead and bring that up. Wait. On this time, 1200 BCE. Zoom in a little bit. This one. Most important, that you see the Tel Megiddo sample right there? Right there. So we see that's all, these are connected. These samples are connected, right? Let me see that again. Related. So they're saying during the late Bronze Age, going into the Iron Age, it would have been found in Syria during this time frame. Then you see the whole expansions of where the descendants would have went off to. Now it's important right there. You see the sample right here? This is the medieval Jewish cemetery that they found in Germany, the earthwork, right? So all you BHIs that's saying that no way that Jews descend from ancient Judeans or Israelites or whatnot. Look at this. How couldn't they? Or they're Edomites. Well, genetically, remember, Edomites and Israelites, they would all came out of the Canaanite population, right? So genetically, they would have shared similar Y chromosomes admixture, right? Look at it spread all throughout Europe, all throughout Anatolia going into Europe. Exactly what in the New Testament you would perceive the ancient Judeans being taken out into the Roman Empire would have done anyways. Spread into the Roman Empire, spread all the way around into the Roman Empire. So it makes perfect sense. All right, let's go into CB-02. All right, this one is E-BY 8508. This is under EV12, which is under EV or EM78. Right, let's get into this one. Now, I want to point out something real quick, right? Because this route that this EV12 took is very interesting because from what I've heard, that this EV12 is a ancient Egyptian snip. Like EV12 came under ancient Egyptians, but the way this is looking, I don't know. It's not showing that to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, but it's not showing that. I don't know. So down around the time of the going to the early Bronze Age to the Bronze Age, it's showing a very unique migration. Going into the Iron Age too. Look where it's found at, y'all. Uh-oh. Look what's right there. Do you see it? Ararat. So this is the kingdom of the ancient kingdom of Aratu, or Ararat of the Bible, Genesis chapter 8, verse 4. So what are the odds that this mutation would have been found in the kingdom of Erat. Now, I don't know exactly if this is supposed to be like a mutation of where they're saying that it's found in like modern populations, because I don't know. I never heard that it would have occurred all the way up in Europe in a ways, and then going into the kingdom of Ratu or Ararat. But according to this is where it's found at. Look at that. Bam. I mean, is that not unique? Like, is that not like something that's very rare? I don't even know if the authors of this paper have gone into this, if they've actually like, hey, seen exactly um where family tree DNA discovery is taking this branch. And so my gathering is that it is associated with the Bakaran Jews. So in the Mizrahi Jewish DNA project, Bakaran Jews have an association with this haplogroup, this specific subclade under EV12. All right. All right. So the next one we got is CB03, and it looks like it's under J2A with the YSNP terminal J-FGC 4992. It's a sub branch of the West Asian haplogroup J-M410. Let's get into this one. Go ahead and make sure this is looking right. You know, y'all viewpoint, you want to be perfect. Y'all want to see it perfectly, right? So we see in the Bronze Age, it was already up there in the Balkans during the Bronze Age. So by the late Bronze Age, it looks like that's like Romania, Bulgaria. So it's on the border of Bulgaria and Romania. So the mutation occurred at the border of Romania and of Bulgaria, according to this, and the mutation was around 550 BCE. It looked like it spread um, through Moldova and Ukraine, all the way into Russia, into Central Asia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan. And if I'm not mistaken, I wonder if they're saying what's those Jews that's found in that region? I know Azerbaijan is to the left of there by the Caspian Sea. I'm trying to figure out which Jews are over there. Forget their name. But there's another group of Jews that's around this region. I just forgot their name. But what are the odds? Look where it spreads into Azerbaijan. So they're Azerbaijan Jews. All right. This next, we got CB04. And it looks like the terminal SNP is going to be J-Y142210 under J-P 58. found Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, associated with colon status. All right, let's get into this one. All right, so the early man. So in the early Bronze Age is looking like a Anatolian. It's found in Anatolia. That's where they're saying the migration. All right, it's coming down from Anatolia into the Levant in the early Bronze Age. It's in Syria, or that's late Bronze Age. Let's go. Looks like it skirts through northern Syria in the Iron Age. So according to family tree DNA, I don't know what happened, but they missed the turn to Megiddo. They got to fix this one because it also shares um it shares the ancient founding at Megiddo. So I don't know what happened there. They need to go ahead and fix that family tree DNA. And so the mutation occurred roughly in what is that northern Iraq, Azerbaijan, like Azerbaijan, like border of Azerbaijan and somewhere. Looks like Iraq, like it's on the border of Iraq, and is that Azerbaijan? I can't tell. West, it says West Azerbaijan. There you go. Then they had some that went into northern Iraq. A lot of them went through to Iran. What time period? So this is 1,000. Okay, when that mutation. So so 1 BCE is they're saying that's what they're saying. This snip occurred. This mutation occurred. Okay. Mm. All right. So yeah, that makes sense. It says report paternal. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's get into CB05. The YSMP terminal J-Y 33799. It's under J2 B2. All right, it's exclusively a Cohen branch underneath the Ashkenazim. The Moroccan Jewish individual with no priestly tradition it represents a near outgroup of this. All right, let's get into it. 7, 9, bam. Mm. So it looks like by the time of it's all throughout Europe by the time of the Bronze Age. Let me go ahead and zoom in on this one. All right. So it's right here in Italy by that time. Going into the late Bronze Age, it skipped all throughout through Greece. Wow. Yo. Okay, so looks like by the time of the Iron Age is found in Austria. So was that Hungary? Man, it was. Yeah, I don't know. It don't look like it was found in the Levant during this time, but hey, guess it's one of those other ones that they need to fix because what it looks like according to them, it was all throughout Austria. What is it? Germany, Switzerland, Hungary, and then the Balkans. Mm, because the mutation right there. So they're claiming a Hungary mutation at 400 CE. This is where it spread up into Poland, Ukraine, Croatia, and just scattered throughout Germany. Wow. All right. Next, we got CB06. Now, this branch is a sub branch of the Indo European um, mediated but heavily Near Eastern haplogroup R1b-Z2103. Let me make sure this is right. I know I keep on having a. There we go. That's perfect. Y'all can see it. Um, Now it says this Cohen branch is exclusively found among or amongst the Ashkenazim, right? It's very interesting branch. Very interesting branch. And what I'm gonna say is that it looks like it came into the Scythians. And I'm gonna show you why I say that. And of course, if this is the first video you've ever watched from me, you know the Scythians in the ancient Semitic tongue were described or called Ashkenaz or Oskaz or something like that. All right, slow this that one down. All right. So by the early Bronze Age, it's showing that it's coming down from Armenia. So in the Anatolian, southern part of Anatolian at 1700 BCE, 1600 BCE, making its way into northern Syria at 1400 BCE. So that's going towards late middle Bronze Age, or like yeah, that's early late Bronze Age, going back up into Anatolia. So by the time of the Iron Age is found in Anatolia, went all the way up into Anatolia. So finding its way into the Black Sea region, very important. Oh no. All right. This is what I'm talking about. So this region during this time, this Ukraine, and it spreads throughout Ukraine, and this is 900 CE. Let me see when it mutated at, so around 700. So they're saying it mutated at 750 CE. Let me see. Yeah, so um it looks like East Slavic peoples around this time. So the Satovo Maki culture, um, they were flourishing between the 8th and 10th centuries, is thought to represent the super ethnic Khazarian state culture. It was a cultural melting pot where various ethnic groups engaged in both um, sedentary agricultural activities and nomadic lifestyle, particularly around the Don, Donetsk, and Volga rivers. Very interesting. So spreading its way into Lithuania and Belarus. All right. What's next? CB07. Now this one is unique, and the reason why is because according to the authors, it's the second largest Cohen branch after CB01 among non-Ashkenazi individuals sampled in this project, owing to the present samples considerable Iranian and Iraqi Jewish representation. With the most recent common ancestor at 1026 CE. All right, let's get into this one. Now I don't know how it jump, like how they have it jumping it up all the way, um, all the way up into the bulk into Greece and whatnot. But I'm assuming they took ships and they ain't walked there. But hey, there's no telling. But because that one's at 17,000 BCE, this one's going all the way to 3,000 BCE, 3,200 BCE. So we into the Bronze Age, going to late Bronze Age, is showing it's in Bulgaria. Oh man. So during the Iron Age, they have it towards the Black Sea region, going into Anatolia. Yeah, put in normal speed right there. Iron Age, okay. Yeah, I don't know. So this time, so this E-F-GC18371 mutated at 100 BCE. So from 100 BCE, this is showing 600 CE down here in Syria. I think that's Syria. Or Iraq, actually. I'm bad. It's in Iraq. So the mutation occurred, they're saying 1050 CE. Looks like it's spreading from Iran into Iraq. All right. Once again, 1050. So they're saying 1026 CE. That's very close to what family tree DNA has it at 1050 CE. All right. CB08. YSMP terminal is J-Y125592. This is under J2A, part of the J-L70. Specific Jewish individuals, the Gerba Jews with Cohen traditions. They're saying the most recent common ancestor is estimated at 1551 CE. All right, let's get into it. Mm. So during the early Bronze Age, definitely showing a presence in the Balkans, Albania, going into is that already Croatia? Going into Kosovo. Okay, so it went through Albania to northern Macedonia. Slow this one down. Hmm. Oh man, skipped all the way up from Croatia in the northern region of Austria into what looks like Switzerland. Oh man, there we go. Hey, I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, so by the time of the late Bronze Age, man, they definitely need to get more people to test positive for this under this SNP because man, there's no way there's. It seems like there's so much missing data from this, like so many missing like location points. It should be pinpointed. So that by the time of the late Bronze Age, it looks like it's in France on the border of the Mediterranean Sea, down going into Spain, northeast Spain, Iberian Peninsula, going back through southern France on the borders of the Mediterranean. I'm assume these people were associated with maritime. They were more than likely traders. That's what I'm gonna assume. Cause ain't no way. So by the time of the Iron Age too, they're already in Italy. See, they're still around the coast, which would pinpoint a maritime people. It's interesting. What is this sample dating back to? This one's dating from 50 BCE to 250 CE in Netherlands. Mm. So an ancient sample found in Rome as Roman, dated to 300 to 500 CE. Another Roman dated to 81 to 220 CE. Oh yeah. Found in North. Okay. All right. There goes the mutation right here in Tunisia. Where's the mutation? So 1550 CE. I think that's the. If I'm not mistaken, that's the Jerba Island right there. Around this region in Jerba. All right. I might have to look into this one. All right, next we have the YSP. So this CB-08 YSP terminal J-Y125592. So this is under J2A. Um, yeah, it's quite interesting, right? Might have to look into this one more close in depth and see if I can find something about that one. All right, next we have CB09. And this one is interesting because it's under EV12 or 13. Um, it's largely identified as one of the largest Cohanim family from Aleppo, Syria, with a most recent common ancestor dated to 1559 CE. All right, let's get into this one. But before we do that, right, I have to show something interesting with this sample. Um, around E-BY28635 and E-BY188966, there could be a time span around these three actually going towards the late Bronze Age in the Levant. of where this could be associated with the Sea People, and how it became part of the Levant. And if you've been following my community post, I broke the news about the Nineveh sample that was a Levant outlier right here. And this one is under the same or similar SNP according to Y full E-CTS 1275, mutation of CTS 5870 or 56. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, you see that? You see it right here, right? So let's get into it. So it looks like by the early Bronze Age, it's found already in, it looks like Austria by the early Bronze Age, Hungary, going into Croatia. So by the late Bronze Age, it's showing that it's going into Italy. And so for this one, if there's any way that this SNP that these descendants descend from Syria could have been associated with the Sea Peoples, going into the Levant from the Balkans through the Mediterranean Sea, it would have had to occur around 1200 BCE, so around this time right there. But they have it in Italy, so maybe that's something family tree DNA can look into, of where this could actually be a maritime SNP, in that it actually migrated with the late Bronze Age collapse towards Egypt and the Levant. That's a very high possibility. Now, so they're saying that there's a sample that's found in 1100 to 500 BCE in, what is this, Bulgaria. All right. So this mutation of E-BY188966 occurred at 700 BCE. Let me see. I'm gonna have to zoom out of this one so it's gonna spread. Oh yes, it did. Very interesting to note. The Hemera soldier that was found in the ancient Greece Melita. Basically, they were men of hire. They came from afar, but they were hired coming from different locations to serve in the ancient Greece military. This sample right here is found to be dated from 780 to 400 BCE. But let's look into the spread. It's going to be the green one. It's interesting to note that they're showing that it's going to start curving into the coastal line of Anatolia. So they're saying by the time of 1300 CE, it's making its way into Syria. So it's found its way possibly into Syria around 1300 CE. And that's it. All right. So do you see what I'm saying? Like the mutation actually could occurred a little bit earlier, around 1200 BCE, and then been a coastal people and was actually part of the sea peoples, and they would have sailed instead of going through land like they're saying through Serbia, through Bulgaria, through Anatolia into Syria. They actually could have went through the Mediterranean Sea. I think that's the Adriatic Sea. If I'm incorrect, somebody can correct me in the comment section, but that's the Adriatic Sea, and making their way through the islands, through Anatolia, Cyprus, possible stops throughout the Levant, into attacking Egypt during the late Bronze Age with against Ramesses III. So that's a high possibility. But it's interesting that they have it coming towards, staying hugging towards the Anatolian coast line instead of actually going through the Adriatic Sea, staying coastal, jumping towards the islands of Greece. That's just the possibility of actually the historical way that this specific snip ended up being amongst the Cohanim, amongst the ancient Jewish or Levantine population, specifically because this one right here is considered a Levant outlier. So this individual had to be in the Levant for quite some time to be genetically affiliated with the Levant. Hopefully that makes sense. And if we get this specific snip and it's related to, like, let's say the this specific Syrian Cohen family's lineage, then that would prove that would prove it. That would say, hey, these even if it's not right, they're showing a Levantine origin for this Nineveh sample. So that just shows proof that there were people that came from afar, would have mixed in to be considered Levantine, and would have went into captivity or willful, joined the military of Assyria and served and died as as an Assyrian military soldier. So in their militia. So I, it's a lot of things that's possible. But anyways, let me stop rambling on. All right, this is the Israelite Samaritan tribe of Levi, Itamar, Aaron, the Samaritan Cohanim, right? So this is their Y snip E-FT161981, right? And this is very significant because if you know anything, this is considered to be modern day ancient DNA, right? Because they're showing genetic continuity from the Bronze Age. I believe Abu Cohen himself has stated that there's proof that they've been in the land since 3,600 years. So that's genetic continuity, and the genetics proves what he has previously stated by stating that they've been in the land for 3,600 years, right? So this is their glow tracker, their migration route, right? All right, let me slow this one down because this one starts going fast. Go ahead and zoom in on this one. So by the early Bronze Age, it looks like they're already in the land of Palestine. So exactly what Abu Cohen said, it looks like it actually, like he's 100% correct. And actually, it's been there longer than what he's claimed. So according to family tree DNA, his SNP migration has been in the land for, I think that's like 5,000 years. Let me see something real quick. So 3,000. So that's 5,025. So longer than even the 3,600 years that Boots has previously stated. All right, so going towards the late Bronze Age, it's still found in the West Bank. I need the authors of this paper to see this, because how they just blatantly left out this Samaritan Cohanim family is incorrect. I need these writers, these freaking researchers. I need these researchers to completely redo this paper or just add in the Samaritan Cohanim family. Now, they did mention this Samaritan family, but I want y'all to see exactly what they said, right? Let's go ahead and get this. And second, while Jewish law precludes the possibility of acquiring priestly status by any means other than descent, it is possible that at various points in Jewish history, priestly status was, let me make sure this is correct. There we go. Sorry, y'all. Priestly status was either adopted out of necessity in the absence of genealogic Cohanim, such as is told in modern Persian Jewish lore, which might explain the preponderance of CB-04 and CB-07 among Iranian and Afghan Jews, as well as in the case of the extinction of the original Cohen line in the 17th century. Y'all, these authors owe an apology. If they peer review this, they owe an apology to the Samaritan Cohanim family. They owe a direct apology, because first of all, where is this showing that there's an extinction of their lineage always being in the land dating back to 5,025 years ago? Do they know math? Like, do they know chronology? Like, how is that a freaking, they just came into the land? No, they've always been in the land, so it makes sense that they were originally Cohanim, not an extinction. And they're talking about the other family that we don't even know what haplogroup they could have belonged to. They also could have belonged underneath E1B1B. They could have belonged to J1 or J2. We simply have no idea. But to claim an extinction of the original Samaritan Cohanim, this is incorrect. Who's to state that this is not the original Cohanim? Who's to state that? This is what real research looks like, because I guarantee none of these authors took the time to do any of this. This is real research right here. So by the time of the, let's go back. So by the time of the ancient Judeans, the northern kingdom of Israel, the southern kingdom of Judea, it's found in the West Bank at 1000 BCE. Who's to say that the Samaritan Cohanim that's still alive today, not no extinction, wasn't original Cohen family, i.e. Israelite, Judean? It looks like they never really left the land. They've been there for a very long time. There you go, y'all. Their SNP is dated 750 BCE in the Southern Kingdom. They never left. They've always been there. They've always been there. They've always been in the land. They never left. So who's to say they weren't always Cohanim? Not in extinction. because we don't know what that family lineage belongs to. But why not count the ones that's still alive as legitimate as their DNA shows? It shows they never left the land. Who's to say they weren't always like they claim? What is that called, y'all? What y'all just saw is called genetic continuity. That's exactly what that's called. Genetic continuity. I want y'all to say it with me now. Genetic continuity. So when you're dealing with these extremists that don't claim that these people aren't the original people of the land, show them this. Show them dating to the Israelite period, right? Show them this right here. Israelite period right here, right? Show them this. Bam. Genetic continuity. They never left the land. It's crazy because not only do I have to deal with pseudos, but I have to deal with these scholars. And I agree, it's peer-reviewed work, but they did a disservice to the Samaritan Cohanim family that they're not the original ones. They are the original ones. They never left the land. I haven't got this hot on the video in a while. It feels good though, because it proves what I've been saying this whole time, that these people are the ones. Like, they never left the land. This is genetic continuity. Now, if you anything claiming that these people aren't the ones, this makes you swallow all your pride right here. They never left the land. And when they look at their Y DNA matches, it's gonna be found in these regions. The autosomal, I've only seen Abu Cohen's admixture slightly, barely exposed. But guess what? His admixture was exactly what it shows right here. And if you want to show your DNA, please do. Please do. We can do a whole video together, and we can show your DNA results, your admixture. And if you did family tree DNA, or if you have a one of your close relatives on the Cohen family that has done it, I am curious of the Y DNA matches he has, or because it just proves that there's genetic continuity admixturally wise. But let's prove it too with the Y DNA, because according to this is exactly where they're located. They're not located up into Europe or North Africa or up into Central Asia. They all remained in the land. That's it, y'all. That's a wrap. I just killed it. That's a bomb right there. Boom. They never freaking left. They've always been in the land. The extinction of the original Cohen line in the 17th century. This is bullcrap. Please take this out. I'll straight up tell you it's bullcrap. Who's to say these people aren't the ones? Nonsense. One more time for y'all. Let me go ahead and zoom out. Late Bronze Age, 1200 BCE, they were already in the land. Their ancestors were already in the land. Israelite period, right there. Bam, going into the Iron Age. Israelite period. When did they ever left, y'all? That's a wrap. They never left the land. I should just make a freaking a short video just doing this, just by itself, with the bomb emoji. That's it, going on. That's it. That's all you gotta show. They never left the land. All right. And if you made it this far in the video, you've learned a lot. Thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for learning. with me. It's been a pleasure. Like, share, and subscribe. All of that good stuff. Now, I did want to show the my paper that I highlighted, my presentation that I highlighted. Let me make sure it's up real quick because there was other haplogroups that were mentioned in the paper that I think is important. Let me see something real quick. Go ahead, change the presentation. Listening. Now, if you scroll down all the way down here, let me make sure the screen looks good. It looks good. Bam. All right. Now you see Israelite Judean, Israelite Judean for CB01, CB02. So the first one is JP58. The second one is under EV20 or 12. Israelite Judean. This one was under, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was under J1 also. J1P58, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Or this one's under, my bad. This one's under J2A. All right. So you can see of where these populations are associated with, the location, that E-FGC 1839 or 84 associated with classical Judean. And we saw that the mutation, like the migration pattern, had it in like northern Anatolia during the time of the Iron Age or something like that, coming from Bulgaria. And of course, the EV13, the E-FTF 36387, Mediterranean European, and associated with the Cohen family found in Syria. So Syrian Alpeo. I mean, it's interesting. I'll be curious to find if you're under this lineage, if this is your people, like please give me a shout out. I'm interested in talking to you because I'm interested to see your Y DNA matches on family tree DNA. Very interested. Because myself, I have one Lebanese match, and then I have EM84 match on my Y DNA. I have an EM84 match that's Jewish, and then I have EV12 matches on my Y DNA that may be Jewish. I'm not too sure. I'm not too certain on that. But one EV12 is from Iraq, and the other ones are from Saudi Arabia. So I don't know how I have other haplogroups as Y-DNA matches, but that's something that I really don't understand. I've read the papers. I still don't understand. I've spoken to a geneticist or a genealogist with family tree DNA, still don't understand. Besides them saying that we have similar YSTR markers, so they just put us as matches. So these are the others that are under Cohen that have the Cohen surname, and so these are the others. So we see this one's interesting because J-S12192. We see it's found in South America, Central America, Mexican, Egyptian, Karaite, Moroccan Jew. Yeah, me too. That estimate, okay, so in the most recent common ancestor was 408. Interesting. But yeah, these are the other ones. Right here. This is the one I wanted. The remaining Cohanim in the 2009 study do not correspond to any of our CBs. So we have G-M285, G-M377, G-P15, I-M253, J-M67, L-M20, Q-M378, R-M124, R-M17, T-M70. And interesting to note that H was found in the Neolithic Levant and the pre-modern Neolithic B culture. I posted on my community post, I think a few months ago, that there's a theory that it could have been associated with the Sumerians. So it migrated from the Levant in the Neolithic time period, Chalcolithic to southern Iraq, and then by the time of the Bronze Age, it was already it would have been associated with Sumeria. So the ancient Sumerians possibly have a connection with haplogroup H. And if that's the case, then I can definitely see E1B1B being associated with that too, because EM78H was found in the Levant during the Neolithic time period. So yeah, I can see them migrating into Iraq together. And they had EM78 going all the way in Anatolia into the Balkans. I think it was around the time of freaking Neolithic, Chalcolithic, and everything in the early Bronze Age. Oh man, it's been so much material. And like I said, once this gets peer reviewed, and hopefully these authors can or are willing to, I should say, add the Samaritan Cohen family to it, because I think they just did them disjustice. Like that wasn't, to me, it wasn't right. One thing I wanted to add on to this before I let y'all go, before I end this video, right? Let me see something. Give me a second, y'all. Isaac Lazarus put a post. I want to read this post because I found him very beneficial for this video. Give me a second, y'all. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see his post now. It's been a while. Okay. Let me switch my presentation. Bam. All right. So this is a post that he made on December 12th, 2025. It's got 13,000 views. All right. He says, having read this paper, I would say it is a model of a comprehensive and even-handed description of the problem of the historical origins of the Cohanim and Jewish origins more generally, a topic on which strongly held opinions are held. All right. The discovery of the Cohen model haplotype years ago was held as a potential marker of Aaronic descent. However, it was soon clear that CMH did not represent a monophyletic lineage, and so the need there was to sort out all the different Y chromosome lineages found among Cohen. This paper represents that monumental effort. The authors make a compelling case that at least one lineage, CB01, probably two, CB02, date to First Temple Israel, Judea. So while tradition holds that Cohens have a patrilineal Aaronic descent, this can't be literally true. Different men, some in First Temple period, others at later times became priests. How this came to be is for historians to decide. Non-paternal patronity events lacks reinforcement of patrilineal descent rules, self-assertion of priestly status, etc., could all have played a role. Still, it seems clear that around half of present-day Cohanim do indeed share patrilineal ancestors that go up to pre-exilic um, priests of ancient Israel. The compounding effect of history has not fully erased that signal from early history. Interestingly, that early priests is not closely related to other Y chromosome lineages found in Jews or anyone else for that matter. His closest patrilineal relatives are greater than 2000 BC. The biblical Aaron was a late Bronze Age man that must have had patrilineal relatives in the tribe of Levi, and slightly more distant ones of the other tribes, all of them crucially less than 2000 BC according to biblical chronology. See, this is a scholar. This is. I wish I could read like if all you religious people need to turn like this. Like this is what I can deal with. Like he's actually using biblical chronology. That's exactly what. Every time I harp on it, like every time I always harp on this. So either A, the history of Jacob and his sons and Aaron, the descent of Levi is non-literal, or B, the priestly founder of around 850 BC had himself assumed priestly status, even though he was not himself a descendant of the original priestly line. Or C, the dominant priestly line does go up to a late Bronze Age Aaron, indeed, who, however, cannot possibly have been a literal patrilineal kingsman of the biblical patriarchs. Before genetic data was applied to the question, it was possible to imagine Jacob and his sons as the founders of ancient Israel. Now, two possibilities remain. A, that such people did in fact exist, but their legacy was massively diluted so as to be unrecognizable. Or this B, the story of Jacob and his sons is not literal, but rather a later imagining of the ancient past, similar to other origin stories, e.g., Deucalion, Helen, and his sons in the Greek tradition that projected tribal divisions into the mythological progenitors. At the end, we all gain by informing our knowledge of our past by hard genetic data. The stories preserved in books or told by family or community traditions are not negated by genetic science, only their literalist interpretation is effective. The authors tried to preempt use of their results to establish a hierarchy of Cohen lineages. Some of these results were discussed for years among genetic genealogists who, rather than shy away from what they might find, bravely inquired into their own origins. All right. Genetic science, genetic genealogy, and ancient DNA can help inform ancient history, which sometimes matches tradition, sometimes differs from it. Anyway, well done to the authors of the paper, many of them non-academics, for a difficult job well done. Right? And I think I commented under one of them. I don't remember. I think it was this one. Yeah, I commented under. Many of them non-academics. I completely agree with that statement. It's an experimental study, not actual proof. The sheer multiplicity of lineages and their relatively recent origins are scientifically sufficient to totally debunk the idea of a single Aaronic lineage, let alone any Abrahamic claim. Now, this is something that I posted to the Jewish Genetic Discovery Foundation, because they they added Josh Lipson, which is the author, and Leo Cooper. It says, "We are extremely proud of our team members um, and Dolev for their contributions to this important study. My response, please ask the team, how do you leave out the Samaritan Cohen E-FT161981, which is proven and remained in the land, but mention this." This is what I'm talking about. The extinction of the original Samaritan Cohen. And so basically for anybody saying that I don't actually, question people with scholars or anything, you're wrong. Like I question anybody that says something like that because they know they're dead wrong. And they want to have a discussion about it, we can. Because to me, to disrespect the Samaritan Cohanim family by not calling them original, and I've heard the stories. They claim that they're ancient Egyptian priests that came into the land of Canaan and basically showed them their Egyptian priestly ways, and basically they formed Israelite based off of that. I've heard it all. What I showed with this is that it was genetic continuity, and that they never left the land. Here we go. That's what I showed. I showed that they never left the land. They was always in the land during the late bronze, like way before the Middle Bronze Age. So it was actually dating back 3000, right? Think it was 3000. There we go. 3000 BCE, they were already in the land. So I don't want to hear, oh, they came from Egypt and all this stuff. No, they were the ones. They were already in the land. They were already there. So you can't sit there and say they are not the original. They were the original from the beginning. To claim that they weren't priests, what are we talking about right now? Because the priests are basically just those people that was there anyways. It wasn't no Aaron lineage. They were the ones that was already there. They didn't have to say, hey, we are now the priest because this Samaritan Cohen family died out. No, there was continuity. They claimed to be descendants of Itamar via Aaron. So there's no freaking claim that they aren't original. They are. That's what they claim. They claim their lineage is genetic continuity, and their genetics show it. It shows it on their admixture, and it shows it on their Y chromosome. I'm just saying. Bomb drop. All right. So I think that's about it. Let me see something real quick. I want to see if there was anything else. I want to show something real quick. This is the I don't want to leave it out of the video. It's just for those that are actually interested in this. They can actually go view it themselves. But like I said previously, once the peer reviewed gets taken place and it's published, peer reviewed, published, I will break it down fully. But they have the phylogenetic tree, the Y-DNA phylogenetic tree, at the under on the source. So the in the description you can find the URL, you can go to it, look at the supplementary information, and they have all of this. So it's very important that I show this in the video so everybody can have it. Then it gives a figure legends, it gives a breakdown of each one that I've gone over in this video, except for CB -09. For some reason, they forgot about that one. I guess they thought it wasn't important, or maybe they just didn't have the information needed to fully describe it. I don't know, to express it more thoroughly. I'm not even sure if it was in this one or not. Let me make sure before I misspoke. Yes, it is in here. So ZB09, closest upstream branch, E-BY 188966. Individual includes individuals of British, Central Europe, European, and Iranian descent dating to around 700 BCE. These European associations suggest potential classical Mediterranean integration in Syrian or Mediterranean Jewish communities. So they're basically saying that there's no way that this EV13, this SNP, could have been amongst the Israel in 900 BCE. I disagree with that. In fact, if that Nineveh sample is a Levant outlier, that proves that that individual had enough time to come from the Balkans or wherever it came from and be genetically intermingled or genetically part of the community of the Levant to be genetically called a Levant outlier in Nineveh. I'm just saying, and we have to wait until what that paper says. But I'm almost certain that they're going to confirm that it is a Levant outlier, and if that sample can be a Levant outlier, I do believe that this lineage also could be a Levant outlier. So to claim that it just became part of an Assyrian Jewish community, I disagree. I believe CB -09 definitely could have been part of the Iron Age Israelite family for sure, but cannot establish the branch's priestly association prior to late medieval, early modern times. But their claim is that they went from like Croatia area going overland instead of by sea into the Levant, into Syria. What I say is that they actually went by sea in the late Bronze Age into the Levant, going towards the Sea Peoples. And that's exactly how their YS&P ended up in the Levant. Now, that's just my theory until it can be disproven, because they haven't disproven that. They're showing all these other YS&Ps, these other ones up here going all the way up into Europe and everywhere else, and they don't question its association to Jews and to the Cohen families. So I'm just saying, specifically this one, the CB07. So, hey, I'm just saying, I think that's it though. I've given a total breakdown without actually reading the whole freaking peer reviewed article. But hey, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. If you see what's highlighted right there, you know me, you know why that's important. Because I've been saying it from the beginning that you cannot dismiss the connection with the Iron Age Tel Megiddo sample and JP58. You can't deny it. It's been in there in the Levant in Israel for a long period of time. You know, specifically biblical chronology. It's been in the land. You can't dismiss it. It's been Biblical DNA. I hope you enjoyed this material, learned a lot. Like I said earlier, it's been a blast. I'm glad I finally got this video done, and now I'm out.